how you doing? It's Module 1, Section 3. Take some notes, answer the questions after, you know the drill. Hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss anything in the future. Thank you. Module 1, Section 3, struck by and caught between hazards. Objectives: identify and explain how to avoid struck by and caught in between hazards. Identify and explain how to avoid struck by hazards. Identify and explain how to avoid caught in between hazards. All right, we have 5 notes here. Struck by hazards can be anything from a falling object such as tools from above. We're going to discuss how we can prevent that. This is a note: when you're performing overhead work, use protective measures such as toe boards, debris nets, and catch platforms or canopies to catch falling objects. So if you're working overhead and you have employees below, to prevent bodily harm to them from falling objects, we could use one of these methods here. The next note here is: do not stack materials higher than 4:1 height to base ratio. That will be another question. Pause it here if you need to take time to write this note. All right, you could be struck by vehicle and roadway hazards. Something flying up from the roadway, perhaps an operator not paying attention. Another way to prevent struck by hazards is tool lanyards. If you're working overhead, you could do something like that. Got to watch out for the traffic if you're working near roadways, or even if you're in a construction site and there's dump trucks or any kind of excavators or any kind of heavy machinery where it's difficult to see. Caught in and caught between hazards. The biggest one that stands out here is trenching and excavation. Their trenches can become quite deep, and cave-ins can happen suddenly. I believe just 2 to 3 feet of soil can put enough pressure on your lungs to prevent you from breathing in as little as 4 to 6 minutes. Without oxygen, you can sustain considerable brain damage. I believe 1 yard of soil weighs somewhere around 3,000 pounds, I believe. Fact check me on that, somebody. Okay, here it is. Heavy soil. 1 cubic yard of earth weighs approximately 2,700 pounds. The idea here is soil weighs a lot. All right, we have 3 notes here. 3 separate notes. Treat all soil as if it's type C. Type C is the sandy soil, so we can't use benching systems with this because it simply won't hold up. So you just have to slope the earth back out away from the trench. A competent person must inspect excavations daily and decide whether cave-ins or failures of protective systems could occur. If it is suspected that there could be some failure, corrective measures need to be taken before we enter the earth. As I mentioned before, benching systems cannot be used with type C soil. Again, pause it if it's moving too fast. Here's the benching and the sloped trench. Okay, so type C soil again is like sand. So you know, as digging in a sandbox or at the beach or anywhere you've come in contact with any kind of fine-grained sand, it doesn't bench like this. Okay, this would be something you could do with either rock or maybe clay, something that would pack, and the sand would just fall off in a slope. So this is acceptable in all of the excavations. It's just it can only be used in sand or type C soil. So just remember that. There's a couple of questions that will deal with type C soil, and you need to be aware of that. All right, guards, you could be struck by flying debris off of different type of tools. A specific one that comes to mind is the bench grinder. They have guards here because of metal debris that could be flying off of whatever material you're grinding. You would put these guards on the machinery, but you would also wear some sort of face shield and probably some sort of eye protective equipment. All right, here's where you can kind of get caught in between. You've got different machinery that is moving at a high rate of speed. It's talking about cranes and heavy equipment. I believe it shows a picture on this next one. Yeah, there's pinch points right here. So what you have is This pinch point is not even necessarily on the crane right here. However, these are. All these are moving parts, so these could be pinch points that could crush anything in their way. They know no difference between a human body or the earth. All right, these things were meant to destroy things, and they don't really care what gets in the way. The only one that would be the operator sitting right here, and sometimes he cannot see all around him, so it's best that we stay clear of an operation like this. This guy apparently did not. The operator turned this crane, creating this pinch point between what appears to have been an unfinished building and the crane itself, and apparently crushed this man, as you can read here in the case history. All right, that'll do it for today. Thanks so much, and stay tuned for more. Take some notes, answer the questions after, you know the drill. Hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss anything in the future. Thank you. All right, have a good one. Later.